We are huge fans of the Precision 223 bolt-action rifle we built right here on Ultimate Reloader. And in this video, we're going to go through Guy's process of loading Precision 223 on Forster equipment. Gavin here from UltimateReloader.com. I'm back with Guy Miner. Thank you for joining us, Guy.
You bet. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes, and this is essentially part 3 of our 223 trainer story. I built the rifle. I documented that here on the channel. Travis recreated the awesome Berger 77 grain load with hand loads, and now you've taken it full circle by using this awesome Forster equipment. We've got a custom honed die, the coax press, and a bunch of other stuff we're going to talk about to do loads. Now let's talk about this rifle. I mean, what do you think about this rifle?
That is one of the sweetest shooting rifles. And I'm not saying this because you're you. It's because that thing is so easy to shoot well.
Yeah.
It just hangs in there. It rides the bag real nice. There's very little recoil. Well, we'll get to the groups later.
Sure. I've always wanted this full custom bolt-action 223 rifle, and it completely does not disappoint. Like you said, it's heavy. It's got an awesome trigger. It is laser precision. It is absolutely fun to shoot, and it doesn't really heat up the barrel as fast as some of those, Magnum calipers.
Oh, no.
So in terms of caliber, it's awesome. Okay, so the breakdown is it's got a BAT TR action. And the BAT TR action is the tactical action from BAT Machine. BAT Machine is known for their bench rest actions or bench rest level quality. It's got an integral 20 MOA rail. It's got a tactical bolt knob. It's nitrided. This thing is absolutely awesome. It looks tactical, but it shoots like a bench rest action. The Foundation Genesis 2 stock. This Micarta stock, I mean,
I like that stock. Yeah.
It's got a great shape to it, doesn't it?
I told you that back when I was a SWAT sniper for 12 years, I would have loved to have had that stock on my rifle, my duty rifle.
Yep.
Didn't exist then, though.
Yes. And when paired with a Hawkins Precision detachable magazine bottom metal, AICS magazine compatibility, we're running an MDT polymer magazine. They make a good 223 AICS magazine, really good stuff. The benchmark barrel blank that we used, 1-in-8 twist, heavy contour. This rifle, I don't know if I can say this is my favorite rifle. Maybe so. It's hard to fault.
It's awfully easy to shoot well.
Yes, and speaking of that, okay, so we had a little Friday afternoon shooting event here at Ultimate Reloader. We each took 3 shots with a bipod and a regular rear bag right outside the shop here. And Guy Miner just edged me out. Like by 0.004 of an inch or something.
It wasn't much.
But I mean, casual shooting, we were using a suppressor, and Guy put 3 shots into 0.179 inches. And if I remember correctly, those were the first 3 shots you put through the rifle.
Yes. I took 2 dry fires and then shot 3 shots.
Yep, Trigger Tech Diamond down at 6 to 7 ounces.
I'm still at only 19 shots through that rifle.
Wow. And right from the get-go, we've got great results. And that was with the Berger 77 grain OTM factory ammunition. Really, really good stuff. And what we saw was breaking in the rifle with our team competition, laser accurate, but the SD wasn't quite as good as our hand-loaded ammunition, as Travis proved in our recreation article. We were able to get the same kind of accuracy out of the ammunition that we loaded, but we got the SD down just a little bit, which makes sense. When you're, precision dispensing and trickling and that kind of thing, you have a little bit more control over everything. So let's talk about the load itself. For this story, we had once-fired Lapua cases. We had 24.6 grains of Vidibori N140, which is exactly what Travis did to recreate the load.
Oh, I wasn't going to mess with his load.
That's right. Why mess with success,
It
right?
shot so well, yeah.
Yeah, and things get better from there, right? As we'll talk about in a moment. The Berger 77 grain OTM 224 bullet, great 22 caliber bullet. Federal 205 small rifle primer, and Travis loaded it to 2.260 inches. Now you riffed on that a little bit.
Mine was just a tiny bit longer.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, just a little bit longer. I think probably because I didn't set the dies carefully.
Now, if that was coming out of an AR magazine, that could be an issue because 2.260 is max for AR-15. But we've got a 308 magazine at our disposal, so we can do whatever we want. Well,
and we did.
To an extent, yeah. So let's, why don't you walk us through the Forster equipment that you used for this loading session in this story?
I will. And this was kind of a first go around for me, except for the priming tool, and I'd used their coax priming tool,
which we have a story on.
Yep.
Guy did a video on that. You're going to want to check that out.
And I liked it very much. Found it very easy to use. Nice job of priming. Always getting those primers seated down just below the case, so everything sits nice and flat. And don't have any proud primers. Very nice. Pretty quick to use once you get into the swing of it, and that was real nice. Trouble-free priming, but this was the first time that I had used the coax press, Forster coax press, even though it's been around for a long time. And I'd heard about how good they are and the accuracy that could be achieved with them, and had to give it a try. So I did. It has incredible leverage, good feel. It's obviously quality built, unique design. And we'll see if we can get some good shots here of these jaws that come in and hold the case head, because there's no shell holder per se involved. It's these jaws that come in and do it, similar to the jaws that are on the priming tool, and similar to the jaws that are up here on top on the on-press primer as well. The leverage is fantastic. I like the little lights you added.
KMS squared, UFO press light, really good stuff.
Oh yeah, I could see exactly what I was doing. Also appreciated this primer container, this little tiny glass container for the primers. They did not wind up all over my loading bench. They did not wind up on my floor. They didn't wind up pinging around the room, scaring the dog. No, they're just, they all went right where they're supposed to. Very, very nice.
And we got guys set up with an inline fabrication ultra mount with the quick change top plate system. So now you can take a press home, drop it in, a couple of wing nuts, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and boy, so I spent an evening getting familiar with the press and loaded some ammo on it, and it shot pretty well.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this press is the fact that you can pop the dies in and out. And a quick note about that: you can use regular, RCBS, Hornady lock rings, but if you use the Forster lock rings, they're a little bit thicker, they're precision machined, and that means that things will repeat a little bit better and function just a little bit better in the coax press. There's float on the top, there's float on the bottom. That's where that coax name comes from, is that things are coaxial aligned both on the top and on the bottom. I like it. Like you said, it's got really, really good leverage. It's really good, made in USA quality, really good stuff. Let's talk about the powder measure.
That is quite the machine, and I had never seen a powder measure that looked like that or worked like that before. I think the most unique thing is that the handle is not just a handle, it's your powder reservoir.
It's the cavity. Yeah,
it's amazing to me. I always look, how can this possibly work? And I'm looking at it and I go, oh, well, that's neat. And I found it dropped really accurate charges, which was nice. The N140 I was using flowed through there pretty doggone well. Yeah, it actually, the powder is right there, comes out of the hopper and down into the handle.
Yep.
And boy, it dropped some nice, neat charges. I appreciate that design. Took me a minute of looking at it, and I had to scratch my old head and say, what is this? Because it's so different from the drum type measures that I'm used to using.
Yeah, this is another design that's older. I know the coax goes back to the 1960s when it was called the Bonanza. The company was called Bonanza, I believe.
I think so.
And this particular powder measure, in fact, it still says Bonanza here on it in the casting. You can take this off and you can put this right on your bench, or you can get this riser stand that we have here. Either way, yeah, I've got a complete video on this. There's two different drop funnels so that you can do larger case necks or smaller. You want to go with the largest size that you can so you don't get bridging in powders that are stick. But if you're doing a 22 cal, you gotta go down to 22, and you just got to be careful. Sometimes you'll have to tap your measure or whatever to get the powder to flow. Yeah,
and that's fine. And we can get around a lot of that stuff by using some spherical powders, or the really, really short stick powders that flow pretty easily too. So yeah, that's fine. No, I appreciate it, and it's like every one of these pieces here that I used is pretty unique. There's not another press out there that reminds me of this that I know of.
Right.
I've never seen a powder measure like that, and I've seen some different priming tools, but this one is definitely unique. They're unique and they're good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, carrying on down here, we've got the ultramicrometer seeder, which is absolutely, it leaves nothing on the table. It's got the quick adjustment. It's got the sliding sleeve that keeps the cartridge case and the bullet aligned while it's being seated. Top quality, really, really good stuff. And then we've also got the honed full-length sizer die. So what you can do is you can have Forster hone the neck area of the die down to a particular diameter. I'll talk more about that in just a moment, but that's going to get you perfect neck tension for your brass. Then we've got the neck tension gauge.
Yes.
And this is kind of an interesting tool. We saw this at the SHOT Show before it was released. You might have noticed the blue handles in that video. I've got a dedicated video. You can basically insert this neck tension gauge into the case mouth, into the neck area, and it will tell you within 1/1000th of an inch what the diameter is sized to, which is pretty nice.
And do you want to do that on your fired cases or new cases?
Usually, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If I'm checking my neck sizing, like I'll actually use that on new brass quite a bit. Lapua cases, for instance, come pretty small from the factory, and so sometimes we'll mandrel those to punch them up a little bit for optimal neck tension. With that gauge, we know where we're at. If we're checking our die, or if we've got different bushings that we're playing with in a bushing die, this is a great way to check to see exactly where you're at. So definitely like that. 22 caliber, 6, 6.5, 7, and 30 caliber. You can get them individually or in this set that I have here. So let's talk about the bushing diameter or honed neck diameter if you're getting the Forster honed dies. You got to do a little bit of a calculation to get that figured out to see exactly where you need to be. Now, this math here looks a little bit intimidating, but basically all you need to do is take the bullet diameter plus 2 times the case neck thickness, and you'll need a ball micrometer to accurately measure that or get the value from someone that has measured it, and then subtracts 2/1000ths of an inch, 1/1000th of an inch for spring back after the sizing, and 1/1000th for the interference fit between the case neck and the bullet. You want that case neck to be 1/1000th of an inch smaller inside so that when the bullet goes in, there's the appropriate amount of friction and tension between the bullet and that case neck. This is going to prevent those little rings on your bullet when that seating stem is pushing down way too hard to try and force the bullet in. The bullet actually sizes the brass in that case. It'll punch it up and it'll only leave about 1/1000th, but you don't want the bullet to have to do that.
Right.
You want your sizer and your mandrel and or your expander ball to do that work for you. A honed neck die is a great way to do that. And the advantage of the honed neck die for like a full-length sizer from Forster with this honing is that it's all perfectly concentric. There's no bushing floating around. And what we saw when we tested Guy's ammo was we put it on the Sinclair concentricity gauge. We saw a total needle movement of about a little over 1/1000th of an inch.
It was tiny.
Yeah.
A really, really tight run out on that.
Yep.
And that impressed me. It impressed me just like the people at Forster offer this service. They don't just make a good die, they will hone it for you. And they've got some other custom services, as I recall.
Yeah.
But that really impressed me and leads you to have that full-length sizing die that is really top-notch.
This is a killer setup now. I've got the perfect rifle. I know I'm using Lapua brass. I've got this honed full-length sizer from Forster. I've got the ultramicrometer seeder. When the sizer means that neck area is concentric with respect to the case body. Super important. If that's not running true compared to the case body, your bullet won't run true, no. Even if the bullet seeder tries to seat it concentrically. If that neck is wobbling when that case is spinning on your test fixture, it's already done, right, at that point.
Yeah.
So the honed full-length sizer helps with that, and then the ultramicrometer seeder with its self-aligning and its alignment of the bullet while it's being seated, obviously it works really well.
It does. Yeah. The whole, and you're right, you mentioned about being kind of a whole system. Your rifle is precision built, your dies custom honed, the micrometer bullet seeder. This particular press that has that coaxial function, everything there all adds up to some really nice precision.
Yep. And speaking of nice precision, one of the 3-shot groups that Guy shot, what did that go into? 0.053 inches?
Yeah.
Now you're in the zeros, right?
Yeah. And I was amazed. I shoot reasonably well. That just blew me away.
And when you're shooting and you know that you're breaking the shots right and you're seeing them go into the same hole like that, it brings it all together, right? It makes you truly experience the fact that it is no coincidence. When you do your job, the ammo does its job and the rifle does its job. That's the best feeling in the world to me, you know?
You know, Tyler was filming while I was doing that, and I'm watching, and I see this little itty bitty bullet hole through the scope. I can see it out there at 100 yards, and I say, my goodness. And then we go up and look at it, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it's 2 holes. You know, it's 2 bullets in there. But what I do with the third? Did I shank it off into left field? So I don't know what I did with it. And sure enough, we took a look at the footage later, and all 3 of them went right in there. I was like, wow.
That is the best, best feeling in the world. So great job with the loading. I hope you had fun with all of the equipment.
I did.
Yeah. We've definitely got a lot more shooting to do with that rifle, and it's so nice to know that we've got a high round count on that barrel. 223 is not a barrel burner. It means we can have a lot of fun with that thing.
Yeah. And
it does make a mess out of rock chucks. I can attribute to that. And it's satisfying laser precision.
You know, I don't know if I would, that micrometer seating die, I don't know if I would ever change where it's set. I would just keep loading the same load forever.
Those dies work great on a progressive too.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing with the aligning of the case, you know, body and the bullet while it's going up, the easy setting. Yeah, this is a top shelf choice.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we want to know from you is, what are you loading your Precision 223 ammunition on? What bullets are you using? What's your rifle like? And what kind of results are you getting? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. Thank you, Guy, for putting the hard work into this story.
Thanks, Eula, for letting me play with your fancy rifle and your nice gear.
Absolutely. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications, because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later, because I'm off to go shooting.